A final from Detroit. Check out this play from Matt Vierling in the top of the 7th with the Guardians threatening. How's your exit velo? 102 off the bat, climb the ladder for the final out of the inning, and then final out of the game. Austin Hedges facing Tyler Holton, got him. And the Tigers take a 2-1 series lead on back-to-back 3-0 shutouts. That was Tyler Holton, who failed to get an out in game 1. The Guardians went on to win that game 7-0, and then back-to-back 3-0 victories for the Detroit Tigers, who improved to an MLB best 35-14 since August 11th. We talk about this all the time. The hottest team in the postseason stays hot. Detroit surging down the stretch. Their first home playoff game in some 10 years, and now 1 win away from the ALCS. Get some instant analysis. Welcome World Series champion Will Middlebrooks helped the Boston Red Sox win the Fall Classic in 2013. Your instant reaction to another 3-0 win for the Tigers here?
This is what they do. This is just more of the same. This was a perfect example of how the Detroit Tigers have been good since that August 11th date that you just dropped. I mean, they grind out at bats. They see a ton of pitches. They're not up there exactly trying to do damage. They're just taking their knocks and running the pitch count up, which we saw early in this game, going a lot of 3-ball counts. They're not overly aggressive. They play old school baseball. But the one thing they will always do, Hakeem, is they'll pitch, right? Outside of Tarek Skubal starts, this was the typical A.J. Hinch style game plan.
Did he figure something out?
A.J. Hinch? I mean,
Yeah.
I think A.J. has a young group, right? You look at his roster, no one has more than 4 years of service time. It's Jake Rogers, Skubal, those guys are right around 4 years of service. Other than that, it's a lot of 0 to 2 years of service time. And these guys, number one, have blinders on. They're trying to just survive. And whatever our fearless leader says, aye, aye, Captain, we're going to do it, right? And so he's got a lot of guys who have bought into this platoon-style play. You have guys like Kerry Carpenter, who he only had 87 games under his belt. He was hurt half the year, but he has guys like that who had a 930 OPS, had 18 homers, and bought into this, hey, bud, you're not going to play every day. You're going to play your matchups. I'm going to put you in the best spot possible to succeed. But it's working, and these guys have bought into it. And it's honestly, this is a scary team. This is not a team I want to play right now just because of that. They're unpredictable.
I want to get your take on this because one of the cool stories that we've heard this postseason is that A.J. Hinch was reaching out to Spencer Torkelson, the former first-round pick, when he was in the minor leagues in Toledo, saying, hey, just chill out. We got a spot for you come postseason. Hang in there. We know you're down there working on stuff in AAA. But the fact that he's building these relationships with these young players, and I know he was a former catcher in the big leagues, and of course he had the great roster in Houston and then left after the sign-stealing scandal. But as you as a former player and you having your big league manager texting, calling a guy in AAA, what does that say about Hinch?
I think A.J. is a great communicator, and I think he is someone who realized that Spencer Torkelson is part of their future going forward. You got to realize A.J. was in Houston in 2015 when they went on that postseason run. They didn't win a World Series, but it really kicked off that golden era of Houston Astros baseball. He's got another young group here. I'm not saying they're full of the same type of superstars that Houston was, but he has a way of just having young guys trust him, and the communication, like I said, is top notch. So, you know, I was in Houston for that series, calling those games and talking to AJ on the side and about Spencer Torkelson, and you know, he sent him down to work on. It wasn't just mental things; it was mechanical. There were some issues with his body and his swing, and he put that trust into Spencer, and Spencer put it back into him that, hey, I'm going to be back. I'm going to be a big part of this. I'm going to go down there and get my work in, because a lot of that, as a player, I've been in those shoes where you get sent down, and if you're told, hey, you're going to be back, you're going to be a part of this, you go down there and take care of your work a lot differently than if you don't know. If you don't know and you go down there and you're like fighting for your life, and AAA is a tough place to be once you've been in the big leagues. And if you have in the back of your mind, hey, I'm going to get my work in, I'm going to get this right, and I know AJ's got a spot for me, that goes a long ways.
Yeah, and then he delivers on this day with a 2 RBI double. Check that out, just a single RBI double to make it 3-0, his first career postseason hit to make it a 3-0 game. Just the trust that A.J. Hinch has in his bullpen as well is incredible. For Cleveland, well, this is the worst time to go cold. I mean, we saw them ambush Detroit in game 1, a 5-run first inning before recording it out. They have scored 2 runs in the last 2 games. They have gone 20 consecutive innings without a run. This is when you talk about the worst timing ever, this is the worst timing ever. And it's not like Cleveland's offense 1 through 9 is going to light up for 8 runs a game. It's just not what they do. But the fact they've gone 20 scoreless innings, and look, they put traffic on the base paths. They just couldn't get that big hit, Will.
Yeah, no, they had their chances. We're looking at one of their biggest one right here. I mean, before that one, they had 2-1 for Jose Ramirez in the 5th. He couldn't cash in. He flew out deep to center. And then this one, 2 outs in the 7th. David Fry absolutely obliterated that ball. Matt Vierling just made a sick leaping catch and saved a 2-run double. But their offense has never been an offense that's put up a ton of runs. They've always leaned on pitching, mainly this year with Shane Bieber out for the year and not a lot of depth in starting pitching. They've been leaning on that bullpen. But you run into these games against teams that can hold you down, suffocating bullpens like the Detroit Tigers, guys, not household names, just a combination of guys, and back to A.J. Hinch, who just puts them in these exact pockets of where they're going to find success against certain swing types and certain hitters. He just seems to find the equation that works, and he's pushing all the right buttons right now.
Yeah, and I like that he brought in Tyler Holton, right, to sort of like, hey, we have a 3-0 lead, couldn't get an out in game 1, and we're going to shove it here and get 3 outs to send it to a final, right? I mean, like, those are the kind of moments, the gamesmanship, and I know he wanted to go back to him and give him a spot. That was the perfect spot to go back to Holton.
It's huge, and Holton is a lot of times he's an opener for them. He'll come in and start the game, and like you said, he came in, he had a tough outing, and AJ doesn't want to lose his confidence. You come in a 3-0 game, it's a save opportunity in a big game to push you to a game away from moving on to the ALCS. Hey, you know what? We're going to go to Will Vest. He could probably pitch the 9th there, but you know what? Let's give it to Holton. Let's show him we trust him. Because Will Vest, let's be honest, got the big outs of the meat of that lineup in the 8th inning. Will Vest has been phenomenal. Bo Brisky's been phenomenal. But I do love that move by A.J. Hinch to go to Holton there and say, hey, we believe in you still.
Yeah, that was incredible. And they still have not used Jason Foley yet. So he's lurking for game 4. They have not announced a starter yet, but you'd have to think it's Reese Olson against Tanner Bybee for game 4 in Detroit on Thursday. When you think of that matchup, Bybee was a little bit, I would say he was unsettled in that first inning in game 1. And then he get 5 runs, he settles down. For this game for Cleveland to bounce back and force a game 5 here, what do they have to do in game 4? What has to happen out of the gates?
They do have to score early. I mean, I think that's huge. I think that helped Bybee, to your point. They had that 5 spot there in the first inning. Bybee threw the ball well after that. He settled down. Between him and Boyd, who's likely going to be in game 5, those are 2 guys who've gone 9 in the 3rd scoreless innings in their two starts combined. So they got to get off to a fast start, because when these Detroit Tigers get a lead, they put their foot on your neck, right? They don't let in, and it's not going to be simple. It's not just going to be Olsen who's going to go, hey, go 5 innings, you know, then we'll turn the bullpen. No, it's going to be more like Kaider Montero today, who really wasn't an opener during the season for them. He was a guy who would go 4 or 5 innings. And even today, I mean, all bets are off right now. A.J. Hinch, he said, look, we've been playing game 7s since August. So this is nothing new. So these guys know when the game starts, that bullpen phone is going to be ringing. It could be in the first inning to get guys going. So it's all matchup based. It's all A.J. Hinch's gut. But to that point, to your original question, Cleveland's got to score early, and they have not scored at all, like you said, over 20 innings now.
Yeah. You remember the last time the Tigers made the ALCS?
ALCS? Yeah, probably 2013.
Yep, against you.
Against me.
Against you.
Actually, hey,
6 games.
Alex Cobb, who started the game today, his last outing in the postseason was against us. He was in Tampa in the ALDS. Started that game. I didn't get any hits. I was 0 for 3 with a walk. But Jose Lobaton actually walked that game off, hit a ball into the Ray tank in right center and beat us. We ended up winning. We won the World Series that year, so obviously we won that series. But that's crazy. He was 26 years old, and then today, 37 years old. I think the only other guy to go that long was Brett Saberhagen in between postseason starts.
That's incredible. That's incredible. That the Tigers are 1 win away from their first ALCS appearance since 2013. Will Middlebrooks was in that ALCS and, of course, went on to win the World Series with the Boston Red Sox. We'll appreciate the insight here as the Guardians take, well, they're going to have to try to get 1 more to force to a Game 5 as Detroit takes a 2-1 series lead. Look, they're 1 win away, the Detroit Tigers are, from their 5th ALCS. It's pretty incredible that the Detroit Tigers have been surging down the stretch, right? 35-15 since August 11th, a roster that didn't have any postseason experience. Matt Vierling has some postseason experience. This is a young roster that's just sort of out there playing free, and right now 1 win away from the ALCS.